Hi, my name is Lynn, and I'm a certified humane education specialist for the Humane Society of San Bernardino Valley. And this is Officer Ashbaker, who is also here at the Humane Society of San Bernardino Valley, and Joyce.
And this is my miniature horse named JJ. He is a therapy animal, so he goes to visit people who are in the hospital or nursing homes.
Hi, my name is Connor.
Hi, my name is Cammie.
My name is Anne, and I'm the grandmother of Connor and Cammie.
And she's also my sister.
Yes, and I'm also.
Today we're going to be talking about the proper care of horses. And in preparation for this, Connor and Cammie have come up with some questions about what they would like to learn about horses and what they know about horses. So, Connor, would you like to start what you prepared about what you know about horses?
Okay. What I know about horses is that they can weigh up to 2,000 pounds. They can run 50 miles an hour. There are about 400 different breeds of horses. Horses are mammals, and they're also herbivores.
Herbivores, that's an interesting word. Mm-hmm. What does that mean, herbivore?
Herbivores means that they eat plants.
Okay. And what would you like to learn about horses?
What I would like to learn about horses is how much sleep do they get, how long have they been on Earth, if horses can swim, what both a female and male horse is called, and in how cold of weather can they survive in.
Cammie, do you have a question that you wanted to learn about horses?
Yeah, I wondered how long they can live till.
How long they can live. As I was preparing for our meeting today, I looked at the inside cover of the book Call the Horse Lucky. And this book was written by Juanita Havel, and it's illustrated by Nancy Lane, and it's published by Griffon Press. And the inside cover, it talks about the author and how she has written over 30 books for children. And she mentions about her belief of the horse and human bond and how it can be powerful and it can be very positive. The author makes a comment about her art and how she enjoys portraying emotion in the faces of people and animals. So throughout this book, we'll be talking about emotion, we'll be talking about empathy, we'll be talking about compassion. So do you think that horses and people are the same? Are they different? What do you think?
I feel that horses and people are the same.
How are they the same?
Some examples that people and horses are the same is that horses get hungry and eat like humans. They drink water and get thirsty like humans. For example, this horse is wearing shoes. Humans wear shoes.
Okay. What do you think? You think they're the same? You think they're different? You think we share the same feelings? What do you think, Cammie?
I think that we're the same because humans can be sad if they get lonely or they don't get any attention, and so can horses. And also, horses are mammals, and so are humans.
Okay. So as we start to read this book, it begins with Mel and her grandma who are riding a bike. And Mel saw the horse first. Look, Grandma, a pinto. Now, what does that mean? What's a pinto?
A horse with lots of different colors.
Okay, what color is it mostly? What do you think?
Black and white.
Could be black and white. Could it be brown and white? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So a pinto. We didn't see a horse out here last fall. Grandma shook her head, and I haven't ridden here since then. He's all alone. Mel wanted the horse to look up, or maybe even to trot toward them, but he didn't move. What do those words convey to you that he didn't trot? What is trotting? What would that be?
It's like a fast walk.
Like a fast walk? So the horse was not
Almost
trotting.
a run.
Okay, it didn't move. So what would that indicate to you about maybe how this horse is feeling?
That can indicate to me that the horse is probably feeling sad because it's not being taken care of.
Okay. On the ride back to Grandma's house, Mel said, "I wish I could have a horse." So would you like to have a horse?
Yeah.
So do you think everybody should have a horse? Do you think everybody should have an animal?
No.
Why not?
It wouldn't be fair to the animal if all people who got one wouldn't be able to take care of it.
How could they not take care of it?
If they had a job that was all day, they wouldn't be home to feed it.
Okay.
Also, if they're at school all day, or if they didn't have the money to buy food and stuff that they need.
Okay. Do you want to add anything, Connor?
Yeah. Sometimes people don't have the space that an animal needs to live. Just normal people can have a horse, a bigger horse, because they don't have the space in a house.
Okay. But that night, Mel dreamed about the pinto in the corral on the country road. The next day, Mel rode back to the corral with carrots in her pocket. "Hey, boy," Mel called. But the horse didn't raise his head. Eyes half closed, he stood like a skinny statue with a bony back and ribs that stuck out. He didn't swish his tail or shake his head to flick off the flies that were swarming around his rump and legs and face, and mounds of smelly muck lay around him. Officer Ashbaker, if you happen to get a call about a horse and they described this condition that Lucky was in, how would you handle that?
We would go out and check the condition of the horse, see what's going on, how he's living, the living conditions, obviously how the horse would look. The fact that Mel's seeing this horse and he's acting more or less depressed would be very concerning to me, because he should be very alert. He should be swatting the flies with his tail. His ears should be moving around. He shouldn't be acting depressed like this horse is with Mel.
So,
especially if he's smelling the carrots in her pocket.
yeah. So for those who happen to see a horse or a dog or any animal that they think needs help, they can always call the Humane Society or call Animal Control or call their local ASPCA.
Absolutely.
Okay. Mel waved a carrot. The horse closed his eyes as if to gain strength. Slowly, he shuffled toward the fence. What does that mean? What does that mean he shuffled toward the fence?
Shuffled probably means that he kind of dragged his feet towards the fence.
Okay. It hurt Mel to watch him move. Maybe she shouldn't have brought the carrots, but she held one out and waited. I thought that was very perceptive of her, thinking that maybe she shouldn't have brought those carrots because it was so hard for the horse to walk over, that maybe she had done something which caused the horse to not feel very good. But again, she held one out and waited, and after a while, the horse took the carrot. While he chewed, Mel reached out to touch his face. His red-rimmed eyes looked sunken, and Mel knew that something was very wrong. So does JJ eat carrots?
JJ loves carrots.
And when JJ eats carrots and apples, doesn't he go to a special place to get those apples?
Yeah, we do stop at McDonald's and get him apples at McDonald's.
Yeah.
And he
Go-
knows when we're there.
He goes through that drive-through. So Mel blinked back tears when she described the horse to Grandma. We have to help him. After Grandma called the Humane Society, she told Mel sooner or later they will rescue the horse. Sooner if the owner gives up the horse, and later if the owner is taken to court. So Officer Mike, does that really happen? do you really take people to court?
Yes, we do. When you respond to a call like Mel and her grandma are reporting to us, if the horse or the animal in question is severely neglected to the point where their health is immediately compromised, the state of California gives us the authority to seize that animal and take it to receive veterinary care or proper care right away. If the animal isn't in such bad shape that we need to seize him immediately, the state of California gives us what is called a post-seizure hearing to the person, which gives them a couple days to decide what they want to do with the dog, or the horse in this instance, whether they're going to treat the horse or have the horse humanely euthanized. The pre-seizure, we take the horse, get it help, that's the post-seizure. The pre-seizure, we give the person the opportunity to take care of the horse in accordance with California state law.
Okay, so the law does allow you then to go on someone's property, and it does allow you, if there are emergency or exigent circumstances, that you could remove the animal from that property to protect it. And that's kind of what happened with Mel. Mel and Grandma rode out every day to see if the horse was still there. And one afternoon they saw people in the corral with the horse. Mel called out, "Did you come to help the horse?" "We're taking him to Lisa's ranch where he can get well," said a man in a blue uniform. "I'm Lisa," the woman said, "and I run the horse rescue ranch. I'm afraid this little gelding has gone hungry for a long time. We persuaded the owner to give him up, and I'm glad that someone called the Humane Society about him." "Grandma called," said Mel. "I called," said Grandma, "because of Mel." He'll get better, won't he?" Mel asked. "I think so," said Lisa. "A vet will treat him, and we'll feed and care for him. Don't you think he needs a name, Mel?" "Let's call him Lucky," Mel said, "because I want him to have lots of luck." So Mel felt better when they drove up to the horse rescue ranch a few weeks later, because it looked like a place where horses could be happy. "Is that Lucky?" Mel shouted. "His fly mask sort of hides his eyes. And I see he's not so skinny anymore, and he has a friend." So Joyce, what's that, a fly mask? What's it for?
Fly mask. And you put it over their heads.
Why would you do that?
Flies like to be where there's moisture, so they like to be on their eyes or on their nose. And sometimes they'll lay their eggs in their eyes. So you get a fly mask, put it on, and back here. And it's just like a window screen. They can see through it. They're not blind. Are you posing? And this is what it does. So it keeps all the flies off their eyes.
Do they wear that all the time? Summer, winter, fall?
Usually during the summer. That's not very good here from the side. And I take mine off every evening, so they can have some time without it on, but it goes back on in the morning. And usually once it hits about November, we don't have to worry about it anymore.
Okay, in our book it says he's not so skinny anymore and he has a friend. Do horses really like to have a friend? Or does JJ like to be by himself?
No, horses are herd animals, so they like to be around a lot of people or a lot of horses. They get very lonely if they're the only ones.
Okay, and our book says that Flicker showed interest in Lucky as soon as he arrived. And at first we kept Lucky alone while he got better. Then we put him in a pasture with Flicker and they got along fine. And the horses are herd animals. What does that mean, that they're herd animals?
They like to be in large groups for protection. That way, if they're asleep, one of them can keep watch to make sure that the rest are safe. And if something comes up that scares him, they'll let the rest know and they'll all be able to get up and run away.
Okay. And they kept Lucky away too because he wasn't feeling well and they were concerned that the other horses might bully him. Cammie, what do you think about that word, bully? Do animals bully one another? Do you
They
know
could
if people
strand
bully
him.
one another?
They could strand him
Okay.
so they could go somewhere else and leave him behind. They could also buck him and kick him and hurt him.
Especially if he wasn't feeling well, huh? And he's someone new there. What do you think about that word, bully for people or bully for animals? What do you
Yeah,
think about that?
Bullying happens between animals and both people, which means to kind of tease or leave someone out. I feel that the other horses could leave Lucky out. They could, maybe because Lucky isn't at fully health and isn't as fast, they could take all the food and water from Lucky so Lucky can eat.
Okay. So he likes to be brushed, doesn't he? And from the beginning, Lucky let us handle and groom him, but not all rescued horses will let you do that. But Lucky was pretty calm. So Officer Ashbaker, if you saw a horse that was like in a pasture, could you tell by looking at that horse and just by looking at his coat that something was wrong, or by looking at the mane? Would that indicate anything to you?
Yes, Joyce would probably be better at answering this than I would, but certainly, certain times of year, some horses grow winter coats, fall coats, and spring and summer coats. So you're going to look just like a hairy dog. You're going to be looking for matting, flies laying eggs in the really matted areas, and dogs, that would be like a hot spot. So you look for the same thing in horses. You want to look for a really well-groomed animal. You don't want somebody that's, say a horse that's all tangled up or has like a really, in the hotter months, a real shaggy coat, or in the wintertime, a real short coat.
So how often do you have to brush Lucky? Lucky, how often do you have to brush JJ?
JJ had a bath today, and obviously a good brushing. If I let them go more than a week, their manes and tails, because miniatures have very thick manes and tails, start to look a little matted. So in order to keep it nice and pretty and growing, he gets brushed pretty regularly.
Okay.
It would be very painful too. Matting is people don't consider the pain aspect on the animal either. It's if you take a lock of your hair and you just twist it around your finger and you keep doing that, it'll eventually start pulling on you, and that's quite painful.
Okay, and he had trouble walking because of his hooves. So what would you be looking for if you saw a horse and you saw maybe he had trouble walking? What would you be looking for, like in his hooves?
The overgrown hoofs. The hoof is basically like a person's fingernails, and the horse actually walks on that. So when you see a horse with the overgrown hoofs, it might be just a little bit overgrown, but when they get to where they start bending, it can actually founder the horse. They become lame, and there are times that even if you correct that, again, Joyce would be more expert on this than I would, they don't recover from them. It affects them to the point that sometimes they do have to be euthanized because the owner hasn't taken care of trimming their hooves.
So do you have any equipment, or do you have, how would you take care of JJ's hooves so that they don't grow and grow and grow?
I have a farrier, which will put on horseshoes. Miniatures don't usually wear horseshoes except for the kind JJ's got on. They would put on something like this to protect their hooves, but they also trim it. They know how far. You know what happens if you cut your nails just a little bit too close, it gets painful. That can happen with a horse too.
They had a veterinarian come and check Lucky's teeth. Does he go to the dentist?
He has a dentist that comes to him.
Wow.
He gets to see one once a year. Horses are kind of interesting. They're like us. They lose their teeth. And here's one of their teeth. He thinks it's a snack, but it's a baby tooth, and it falls out. Once they grow in again, they continue to grow as long as they live until they actually fall out, probably around 30 years or so. However, some 30-year-olds will still have their teeth, and they need those teeth to either grab the grass or to chew the grass. But you can kind of give an idea of a horse's age by how big their teeth are.
And in addition to those boots that he has on, I see that he has on a vest, and I see that he has like a halter on.
A halter is kind of like a leash and collar for a dog. It helps you guide him where he's supposed to go, or if he decides to be wandering off during story time, helps you keep him near you. We also use it for training purposes. He's just kind of getting antsy for standing around. The vest tells everyone that he is a therapy horse. They do have service horses. He's not a service horse. A service horse can go inside restaurants. They can go just about anywhere, and by the Department of Justice, only miniature horses and dogs are allowed to be service animals. So JJ is a therapy horse, so we have to be invited. We have to be invited to go to nursing homes or hospitals. We can't just walk in there.
And his job is just to make people smile and
Make them
laugh
smile.
and make people feel happy.
We have gone into a rehab facility where somebody had a stroke, and they had them brush and pet with their hand that was affected by the stroke as therapy also.
Okay. So Lucky had his teeth attended to, he had his hooves attended to, and then Mel is considering adopting Lucky. But she says, no, our yard is not big enough. And she says that Grandma doesn't have a yard. So would it be a kind decision for her to adopt Lucky?
No.
No, no. So you've always wanted a horse, right?
Mm-hmm.
You wanted a horse?
Mm-hmm.
So do you think you could take it to your grandma's home?
No.
No. Okay. A month later, Lucky went to live and work at a horse therapy ranch, and Grandma drove Mel to see Lucky, and she watched the trainer work with Lucky. The trainer took a plastic bag and rubbed it across Lucky, and then she shook the plastic bag near him. Joyce, why would the trainer be doing that?
Bags are kind of loud and noisy. They move around a lot. So a lot of times you'll desensitize the horse, so they'll get used to doing that. And so, you know, if you do that, then they're used to seeing it. And if something goes blowing by on a windy day, they won't get scared and run away.
Okay. So Mel comes to visit Lucky at the therapy ranch, and she says, my name should be Lucky too. And Mel reached up to stroke Lucky's neck. I'm lucky to have found you. So I'd like us to take a quiet moment and just to reflect upon what that word lucky means, and then kind of share what that word lucky is. Why do we consider ourselves to be lucky?
To have a house. Like, not most people have a house, so we're lucky to have one.
Lucky to have a home?
Mm-hmm. We're lucky to be on the earth, too.
Lucky to be on this earth.
So
Lucky to have food in our home.
Mm-hmm. We're lucky that we can have family that cares about us.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have a pet, we could be lucky to have a pet, because not all people can have one.
Why couldn't they have one?
Because they wouldn't be home to feed it or take care of it.
And you mentioned the time and being to school or going to work. Maybe they don't have a job, so they can't afford medical care. They can't afford to feed it properly. How about someone who rents? You think that they necessarily, can they have an animal?
Some landlords do not allow pets, or they can sometimes destroy the house. Well, not destroy, but just kind of mess up some things in the house, or cause things to happen with the neighbors.
Oh, right. So, how do you consider yourself lucky?
I do consider myself lucky.
Why do you consider yourself lucky?
Like my sister said, I have a house and a caring family, and like we have pets, so I like having the company from the pets.
Do you get lots of exercise?
Yes, I do get lots of exercise.
How do you exercise?
I have the privilege of going to baseball.
Yeah. How do you consider yourself to be lucky?
I consider myself to be lucky to be part of this herd, and like the kids said, to have a roof over my head and food to eat and just be on this glorious earth.
Well, I'm lucky because I work at the Humane Society and I get to come in every day and be with people that care about animals, and I get to go out and meet new animals and new people every single day. And a lot of times I deal with animals that I never thought I would get to see, like JJ, you know, all kinds of animals, wild animals, domesticated animals. We get to deal with all kinds of animals, and I'm very thankful that I get to be around them and take care of them, and again, work with people in an organization that shares that same interest.
I'm lucky because all of my family is healthy. I have a brand new grandson, and I get to play with my horses all the time, something I love to do, and I get to share them with others.
Okay. I feel very lucky that we have all been able to gather here together, and I feel lucky that we have been able to share with others our compassion for our earth, for one another, and for animals. And I encourage everyone to go out into this world and find your talents, find your skills, find your gifts, and do everything that you can with your very precious life to make our world a more gentle and peaceful and merciful place in which to live. And we all wish you well, and we say goodbye.
Goodbye.